record. Well, here we are. So let's just do a little bit of an introduction. I'm sure there'll be more people joining, but I'd love to hear your names, where you are in the world, and also how you discovered Journey, how you came across it, and just a couple of minutes each would be wonderful. Phil, you want to start?
Phil, yes, you're asking me, yes, absolutely.
Sure.
Yes, it's Phil. I'm English. I live in the southeast of England, Folkestone, near the Channel. Across, you see France across the sea. And I've been here for about 20 years. And when I moved here was when I first read A Course of Miracles and became, well, I just recognized it as, I realized that actually I wrote it. That sounds rather immodest, but I recognized it as my truth.
Yeah.
And I stayed with that for quite a while. And then about 5 years ago, encountered somebody who had heard of A Course of Love. And I thought, that sounds interesting, I'll have a look. And immediately that grabbed me. And so I've been loving it and staying with it ever since. And I heard of this, and I heard of Rick and what Christina is doing from people that I met when I was in the Facebook group with A Course of Love, which was quite a vibrant Facebook group. And so that's why I'm here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Miguel, is that you? Somebody's on the phone. I can't unmute. Oh, yes, I have. Who's on the phone?
Yes, this is Miguel. Yes,
Miguel,
this is Miguel.
hi. Hi, Miguel. Let me,
Hello.
I'm just going to rename you so we don't have your phone number up there. I just learned how to do
okay.
this. Okay. Awesome. We're just doing introductions, and then we'll have a few deep breaths together and then begin whatever you want to talk about. River, you want to go next?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so I'm River. This week I'm dog sitting, so now I'm in Maryland. Usually I'm in Virginia. Yeah, and how did I come to the journey? Yeah, I mean, we talked about it last week, so now I'm trying to remember what I shared or what, but yeah, I came to the Course in Miracles this past year, and then to the Course of Love, and yeah, when I came into Journey into the Unknown, it just felt like that praxis part of the puzzle of, you know, how do we live this? How do we apply this to today and what's coming up for everyone? So
that's great.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Perfect. We've got somebody just joined. John, can you hear us? John, well, we'll wait till he unmutes himself because I can't do that just now. Jude, you want to go? Introduce yourself?
Can you hear me from now here? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got in A Course in Miracles at the end of the 70s, late 70s. And then I did study at the Community Miracle Center, now the California Miracle Center in San Francisco. And I was ordained minister through that. And I have been facilitating classes. I haven't done any Course in Miracles classes in quite a while, but I've done numerous A Course of Love reading classes. And I'm on one right now. I'm going to start the 40 days next Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And John's actually in that class. John Williams is in that class. So, of course, I heard about this through Christina. Thank you very much. I'm just so grateful that I heard about this. I did send out an email to people that had read A Course of Love with me because they also had read A Course in Miracles. And I really didn't get many responses back. I thought I would, but I have a feeling it's going to be something that kind of needs to just get a few roots before it takes off. But I'm really, and I just love your voice, Christina. I have listened to it several times now, and for me, it is an exercise in listening and hearing as opposed to just reading words. And in the morning, I also listen to David Hoffmeister's reading A Course of Love, A Course in Miracles daily lesson, because I've been doing those like over 40 years. And I just like to have that review to start my day. So the whole thing is about the listening. And plus I do have hearing aids. I don't have to wear them all the time. So hearing is something I'm working on.
It's good to take it in different ways. I remember even with the Course of Love, reading it first and then listening. Same with the Course in Miracles. Back then, I bought the Course in Miracles on cassette tape, would you believe? A whole big thing full of cassette tapes, and listened early morning. But it's nice to have you here, Judy. Miguel? Oh, let's say hello to John. John?
Oh, hi. Hi,
Hi.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Are you going to put your video on, or you prefer to keep it off?
Because I'm on a walk, actually.
Okay.
I'm sort of going to be listening mostly, so I'm just, and I don't know how with the transmission, but I'm on my daily walk, so
Okay.
I'm a follower of Course of Love, Course of Miracles. I'm in Judy's class. The previous participant that you heard, and of A Course of Love. And I've actually listened to the audio of the first 7 chapters. And because it's a neat way for me to walk, I listen to the voice, and I'm so intrigued by this that actually I've read ahead. I've actually listened ahead to I think it's the latest installment. I'm not sure, but I think there's 15 chapters.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
He's off.
John?
We're going to lose him because where he's walking is up on top of High Hill.
Oh, I
I
see.
didn't want to check in and see how well he could do.
Okay. So.
Yeah, because I'll be listening for the most part,
Okay.
but I'm intrigued by this process, so I'm excited.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. So we're going to put you on mute, John, because of the wind noise. And
yeah.
But if you want to speak, please unmute yourself, okay? Yeah, he's
figuring out because I don't have my glasses with me, so I'm trying to figure out which button to press. So anyway, yeah.
Well,
thank you.
All right, all right. I'll make sure guys, remind me to go back and unmute him from time to time, so that he can talk if he wants to. Check in with him, okay? Remind me. Miguel?
Yes, I'm glad to be here again. I just heard that about the second installment. I thought it would arrive in my email, but I suppose it didn't. So
did you sign
I haven't
up,
read
Miguel?
it.
Did you sign up?
Yeah,
on
I
the
did.
website? Huh,
yeah, I did sign up, but I didn't receive anything. So I'll go on the website and find it.
Do me a favor if you can and check your spam folder, because you're the third person who told me they didn't get it. And the first time we sent it out from my email account, and this time we began using an email app, one of those things that sends it for you more easily. I wonder if it's ending up in spam. If you check that, just text me, okay, Miguel? Let me know. That'd be great.
Yeah, I will do that. I will do that.
Thank you so much. Oh, now introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah. My name is Miguel. I'm calling from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm very glad to be here. Everything else I feel is irrelevant.
That's not true. It's brought you to where you are with great gratitude, all of it.
I got to it because you told me about it, and I'm very curious and very happy to listen. Yeah, the only thing is the first time I'm listening to something. I've never listened to anything before, auditory. I've never listened. I've always read, always preferred to read. But it's the first time I'm listening, and I'm happy with that. I don't need to read, I feel. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Miguel. Rick.
Hey everybody, I'm Rick. I'm glad to see you all here today. I can just say that the project's getting bigger and bigger all the time, and there's been 21 new chapters in volume 2 since last week, and they're coming 3 times a day, and it's just turning into a really big project about how we're being called to live the elevated self of form. And the volume 2 really goes into some really interesting details about why and how some things work, some things that I've always wondered about. So that's what's going on here. Nice to see everybody.
It's very exciting, really. I'm trying not to, I have so much to do to get volume 1 out. I'm trying not to pay too much attention to volume 2 for now, but clearly it wants to come through now. They want us to have that and to make full use of your willingness, Rick, to receive all of this right now. It's very important. Thank you for what you're doing. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and well, I'm Christina Strutt, and I'm in Westford, Massachusetts, which is about 40 miles northwest of Boston. And very glad to be here and feel like my whole life's journey has deposited me here. And I'm very, very grateful to be in this time and place, to have found this work and with Rick, and to have such, when I read it, I felt such acknowledgement, being seen and affirmed for how I've been living for a long time. And to be able to share that with the world. Rick received it and he has handed it over open-handed, not asking for anything. And I've picked it up and I'm doing the work of putting it into a form, transcribing, editing, recording, you know, and Joe Nagel joined me. And we found a template for the website, and we're doing it week by week and trying to put it together in a way that's beautiful and appealing and available to everyone. So share, by all means, share that link wherever you are with whomever you want to share it. journey.cocreatingclarity.org. That's what it is. It's a domain under Co-Creating Clarity, which has been my practice for 10, 11 years now, which is exactly living this oneness and knowing that there is never anyone to blame and certainly no one to shame, least of all yourself, and just living that love. And this book comes along and tells us so much more in detail how to do that. So I'll shut up, and I'd love to hear from people why they're here, questions, wonderings, conversation. You've got Rick Greathouse, the receiver, right here, so go for it.
I did send you a question. I was listening today, chapter 8, it said something about the energies. All we know is the energy of the 60s.
Oh, right, I did see that.
More.
So, Jude, there's 100 chapters on volume 1. And there's this theme that is running through all of them. It's not, I don't feel like this is linear. You don't have to read from beginning to end. You could read any of it. And some of it you may like and some you may not. But there is a theme of becoming a free spirit, like moving from being a spiritual person to losing the person part of it and living as a spirit, living as a representative of spirit beings. So you're the one that they see, and you're a team member. So that kind of freedom of, you know, the hippie days back then of really questioning everything and questioning all of the, you should do this and you should do that, and you should be this way and you should be that way. So that theme runs through all of this material, and it's definitely in volume 2 also, of just being free and telling yourself, I guess that's the first person you have to convince, right? Telling yourself that you're free. And you don't necessarily have to do what you've been taught. You can let yourself express how you want to, because you're a spirit, you're a free spirit, and you're completely free. So this idea of freedom also runs through the books, both books. And how you do that, Jude, and how I do it, and how Christina does it, and River and Phil and Miguel and John, those are unique to us because we're each so unique aspects of the one self. So it's interesting to see how you are going to be going further into this freedom. And I know a lot of you have been reading A Course of Love for a long time, so you've already been doing this. But this is even more radical. It really is, and I've learned a lot from it. I've been questioning a lot of things myself about things that I do. I don't give myself permission to be completely free and to express love all the time. So I hope I answered your question, Jude.
Oh, the spirit of the 60s. That's good.
Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah, that's a great. You know, I think it was Matt Pepper, who's someone I know through A Course of Love, had posted a video of the song The Age of Aquarius last weekend, and I was listening to it many times on Saturday, and it's pretty amazing when you think about it, that song is from 1968, 69, 68, I believe. So that's 50 years ago. That's what you mean, Rick, by the spirit of the 60s, that, you know, it is all of that freedom. And it was from the musical Hair, obviously, which I happen to have seen in London in 1971. But listening to the words again and watching the group that's singing it, it just blew my mind. 50 years ago, they were talking about an event that's happening now, the entering of the age of Aquarius. It really isn't happening for real astrologically until December 21st this year, on the December solstice. We enter the age of Aquarius. And not only that, the group singing it is called the Fifth Dimension. And what we're really doing is landing 5D Earth. You know, the ethereally earthy, being in the world and not of it. It's just so amazing. So how it is coming together. So thank you. Anyone, jump in.
I think
Phil, you're on mute.
Yeah.
Unmute. There we go.
That's right. Rick was talking about the radical nature of what he's writing now. Could you give us a clue as to what that means for you?
Well, I think that I thought of myself as a spiritual person, and I defined it in certain ways that they're supposed to be like this. So the idea that I have a body to use, but I'm really not a person, I'm a spirit, is really radical. And I don't know exactly what that means for me, or I don't know if any of you know what that means for you, but that's something that we are able to explore if we want to.
It's interesting because I'm just rereading sections of A Course of Love that I haven't read for actually a few years. And every time I go back and read, I feel it's more radical than I thought it was. Maybe the radicalness is what I'm ready for. That it's all. I'm beginning to wonder if it's all radical. Because a radical is about the process in me and the awakening realization. I keep on thinking And even I went back and reread *A Course of Miracles* some while ago. And, every time I reread something, I think I've never read this before.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens to me too. And the way I explain it to myself is that I'm a new person in each moment. So it is new in that sense. And so I think A Course of Love takes us on a little journey itself, starting with stuff we're familiar with, if we've done A Course in Miracles, and then bringing us through the treatises. And then it gets to the very radical part about the elevated self of form and living as the elevated self of form, that the new option is to achieve this state without having to give up the body and leave the planet, actually elevate the self of form and be spirit, as Rick calls it, as the journey begins to refer to it. So yeah, it's very radical. And then Journey into the Unknown has come along and starts radical. It opens pretty radical. So let's see, Julia, hi. Can you unmute yourself?
Hi there. Hi.
Hi. We just got started. Welcome. I'm glad you're here.
I'm sorry I'm late. I'm with my son at a pool and I was like, oh my gosh, it's 5:20.
No worries. Just give us your name, where you are, and how you found Journey and all of that. Just a little intro would be great.
Sure. I'm in Baltimore, Maryland, in the States. And I found it through John Mark Stroud posted it on his page BBIP3. Right. So that's where I found it.
That's great. And have you had time to look at the first 2 installments?
I have. Yeah, I have. You know, it's funny because I read them and then I went back and I listened, and I've really been enjoying the listening because it's so beautifully read and the pace is so lovely. Like I just feel like it just, for me, it just goes in a different way when I'm listening. So that was really, really enjoyable.
That's great. That's wonderful. I'm glad to have you here. We're just in conversation about any questions, wonderings. Rick Greathouse is right here. He's the receiver. So you go for it, you know? And everyone else here is from different places. So yeah. Anybody?
I feel called to something that felt present this week after, you know, I read the second installment, or this time I listened to it actually as well, and really enjoyed that over reading. And one of the chapters was about sex and celibacy. And I felt like listening to that, you know, there was something that felt really real in my body that felt like it recognized what was being talked about. And I appreciated, you know, the energy around like, whatever you choose is best for you is great. You know, it's up to you. But there was something, you know, I notice as I deepen in this spiritual practice that my relationship to kind of my sexual identity has really shifted. And I met a person a few days ago that I received. It felt like I received a message from God that this might be a holy relationship in my life. And so, of course, the question emerged like, okay, does that mean like a sexual relationship? Like, what is that going to look like? And it became clear to me that no, it's not going to be a sexual relationship, but it will still be a holy relationship. And so that's just been interesting, you know, something I've never explored before. It was something that I had to really recognize in my heart and kind of set a boundary around, sort of speak it and have to honor it and surrender to that, you know, which was hard to do because I wanted to just flow wherever the energy was going. But it was clear to me that the sexual energy just did not have any resonance for me. So yeah, that was just, I don't know that there's a question in there. I guess I was curious if other people felt resonant with that in their own experience, or just sort of, yeah, just wanted to speak it. Yeah, dude.
It helps with age. Kind of comes natural. When I read that, I went, yeah, it's easy now. So when you brought it up, I went, yes, she's young. So I'm sure that she kind of had a look at this. Where I think, at least for myself, when the hormones go, so does any, well, I shouldn't say any desire, but certainly the relationship. And I love it when it says, why, to me, I love living alone. Why would I want to goof it up with another, you know, I love the chapter. I thought it was perfect.
But it was very clear though. I thought it's simply a choice, you know. Oh, yeah. It is a choice. I think that's what Rick was talking about earlier about the freedom. There is no right and wrong. We are each individually, uniquely who we are and different. And so that's part of the choice. But the other part is that for me, it's things are new every quantum moment. So we don't want to close the door on anything. It's like every possibility is here. And it's only possible, and the Course of Love is very clear about that, to arrive at certainty in the moment. Certainty is impossible otherwise. We are learning to live going into the unknown, and the Course of Love language is living in the not knowing, coming to know, and then knowing. So we're dwelling in that place constantly. So yeah, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? I mean, it's like, who knows? We just don't know. Or in the next minute, or on this call in the next minute. We don't know. And that's the adventure. That's the journey and the freedom. Yeah, love that. And you're right, age does help. I think we just lost John. Sounds like he got home and opened his sliding door. That's what it sounded like. He got home from his walk. And, so go ahead, anyone else? Questions, conversation? Rick, please.
Oh, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the celibacy chapter, because sometimes your body, you feel a slave to your body's drives. And also sometimes you feel a slave to the culture. And so as a gay man, I've always felt compelled to participate in the wide variety of sex options that were out there. And so to me, just taking a step back and reclaiming that and knowing that I do have power over it, I don't have to be compelled to do anything. So I appreciated that aspect, because sometimes in the world we get caught up in things and we feel like we don't have very much control over it. And this is telling me that maybe I do have a little more control than I thought I did. So
yeah, that's great. You just remembered that I wanted to post the questions. I don't know if anybody noticed, but I'm just going to pop it in the chat. That right above the chapter titles, chapter numbers rather, I've distilled like what to me was the essence of the chapter. So these questions, I'm not sure if you've seen them before, other than in each chapter above the title. But chapter 14 was what about sex? Yeah, it was a interesting chapter. Go ahead.
I also like how short the chapters are.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot of words. It takes you far, but it's not a lot of. It's not so long that you feel it's a chore to get through it. As a matter of fact, sometimes I kind of go, it's over. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
I'd like to say something about that chapter. I suppose my experience, mainly with sex in my life, has been feeling of great guilt about my sexual impulse. And I suppose what I've come round to recently, and although I'm in my 80s now, I still have a sexual impulse, and I'm no longer ashamed of it. That's kind of one of the things that's disappeared.
Yeah.
So I also can't, in a practical way, do much sex, having had a cancer operation, which relieved me of the possibility of doing that. I'm not without a sexual impulse, which I begin to love as part of the given about me.
Yeah. Thank you. And that feeling of shame and guilt, for that to be alleviated is huge. And for me, it's been the other way around. I mean, I feel as if I pretty much lost that already, but to read it was very helpful. And for me, the guilt was not wanting sex and being married. I mean, my husband and I, we love each other dearly. We've been married 45 years. And, you know, we've got to a place where we're very comfortable, and there's still the jokes and all. He is English, so Phil, you can imagine the kinds of jokes and fun we have with that. But again, it's not cast in concrete. It just is how it is right now, you know, that I have no interest, and it's been that way for a while. But hey, tomorrow's another day. I could feel completely different, you know, either with my husband or, hey, I might meet Idris Elba, in which case all of the celibacy can go to hell. I don't care. So yes, it's lovely to have that permission to be who we are. And I love how it says, and we support every choice you make.
Yeah.
But that's that beautiful, inclusive acceptance and compassion. And that's what we're asked to walk around the world with. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
And something else that emerged for me, you know, I've personally felt really, I felt like my ego and my spirit were really tangled when, you know, I felt simultaneously called towards this person, feeling like, wow, this is a really big opportunity to open my heart and really experience that holy relationship, while also receiving, you know, this dissonance in my body. And I didn't know what to do with those two conflicting, they felt like they were conflicting, you know, emotions. And so something I got clarity about today and was processing today is taking away the sexual energy does not take away intimacy. It does not take away vulnerability or closeness, or even like shared nudity or cuddling, or, you know, like being in deep connection and contact with another person without this. To me, I feel like as soon as something switches into the sexual energy, it becomes about, I need this from you. And, you know, like I whatever you think you need in sex, I need pleasure, I need fulfillment, I need connection. Like it becomes about need, which to me becomes about fear. And so what I'm working on is, okay, what does intimacy look like without fear, without the idea of need? What does it look like when we are just completely openly sharing with one another, you know, from the deepest heart, from a place of, you know, defenselessness, like the Course talks about. So that's just, yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you. That's really well said. Beautiful. Thank you. So let's see, John, Miguel, would you like to say anything? I can't see you both, so I'm asking. Miguel, are you there? John?
Yes, I'm here, but since I didn't read it, I checked. I haven't received it.
Okay.
But so I don't have anything to say. But I'm enjoying the conversation. Thank you.
Great. John, are you there? He may not be there. He can't hear me, I think. Julia, would you like to say anything? Any question? Oh, John's there. Great. Sean, we can't hear you. You're breaking up.
Can you hear
We can't hear you, John. So sorry. No, I don't think you have a connection.
No.
No, sorry,
Can you
John.
hear me?
No.
Well, not really. Okay, I'm going to mute you.
Can you
Sorry.
hear me?
No.
Okay.
I did have a question.
Oh, well.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Judy.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, there I am. Yes, I know. There was session 1 through 7, session 2, 7 through 15. And then you were just talking about some other books. Can you kind of describe how this is actually, then you said something like 21 chapters. So I'm just a little curious how it's going to keep coming.
Oh, so Jude, there's 100 chapters in volume 1. And volume 2 right now has 65. I'm anticipating that will continue. So it's becoming a bigger and bigger project by the day. But the chapters are all pretty much the same size. So they're about, 1 page of notebook paper, because I write it down by hand. So they're all pretty short. And like I said, you might find that they're not necessarily linear. So you could go in and find one that you like, or skip the one that you don't care for. I think of both of them as albums, because I'm a big music fan. And I think that they're like songs on an album. And so sometimes you like certain songs on an album, and sometimes you don't like the other ones. So you know what those are. If you have vinyl, you know how to skip it around, or a CD or something. So that's how I think of it. But the whole project is really getting bigger. Just in the past week, there's been 21 new ones. So that's what's happening. And like I said, volume 2 really goes into why a lot of really interesting details about how all of this works. So.
And so how are we going to access this? We got 15 chapters so far. Am I missing something?
No, you're quite right. That's exactly what's come out.
Okay.
And it's a good question you're asking. I'm just as curious as to how it's going to unfold. I'm literally living a journey into the unknown, never having done anything like this before, not knowing till the day before we release the next installment what that installment is going to look like, how many chapters. I literally landed the day before, 2 days before. I'm trying to keep up with the transcribing and fine editing and the recording, so I have flexibility. So it just happened that it said to me, whatever it was 6 chapters the first time, second time was 9, and no doubt tomorrow sometime I will know, as I listen to my own recording, what the next installment would be. Our current plan is to be releasing an installment every week. However, that could change. So it's completely unknown and literally living, as I said in our last call, the 2 songs from Frozen 2, the movie, which my granddaughters love, and which I love too. They're walking into the unknown and just doing the next right thing. And I put the essence questions, and I call them questions to live by, into the chat. You guys can pick it up if you want that way. But as I said, they appear right above the chapter numbers on the website. And what I want to say is, if we are literally living these questions right now, the world is going to transform tomorrow. So I don't feel any pressure or urgency to get the book out real fast. It would not carry the energy that I wanted to carry, which is living in freedom. walking into the unknown, one quantum moment at a time, doing the next right thing. And, you know, the way things have moved, literally, this manuscript, I mean, I began this project 6 weeks ago, and here we are already putting it out to the world. So it's pretty amazing how things have unfolded with Joe and Rick and myself, you know. It's almost like we're co-creating this together. And
so the sessions, because you have chapters, and you guys are talking about 21 chapters, now 2 volumes. So the sessions are what you are managing to put together to send out. That's what a session is. So a session is
what word did you use? Session?
Huh?
Did you say session?
Yeah. So the session is basically, that's you're calling your completed work a session. As you certain, because we have session 1 and session 2.
Installment.
Oh, it's installment. I'm sorry. Duh. I don't have it in front of me. Installment.
Installment,
Yeah,
yes.
so the installments are, from your point of view. That's good. That's good to know. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. It's what we're putting out each week, and that could change. The frequency could change. The number of chapters will change. I don't know. Yeah.
No problem.
Christina, were you suggesting that you've just offered us these questions?
These are the questions that are the essence, reflect the essence of each chapter.
I get that. Are you suggesting that would be, I can see that it could well be a fruitful sort of focus for our conversation?
Absolutely. We kind of have been doing that. Absolutely.
Yes,
I didn't want to restrict it to that, but, and again, this is simply what distilled out of each chapter for me.
Well, that's very helpful, I find.
And which is why I put them up here. And they're in, as I said, if you look at each chapter page on the website, you'll see this question right above the chapter number. And this is about living it, walking the talk, 24/7. So you could pick any of these any day and say, okay, today I'm going to bless everyone and everything all the time. Now, if we did that, for me, it's like things could change at warp speed. You know, people now we're still in a sort of a lockdown. We're slowly opening up in Massachusetts, very slowly, but it's really invited people to look inside somewhat more deeply and connect in different ways than physical ways. But it's like what a journey into the unknown is saying is that all of us are needed, and each one of us has a unique way and a unique gift to give. So each of you will do that, you know, and only you know your answers. So it's kind of like, I feel like my job, like Rick has felt, Rick, let me just ask you, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've said that you felt that your job is, are you frozen, Rick?
No, I'm here.
Oh no, you were just so still. I thought your video was frozen. That's funny. That's good. You're alive. Good. So Rick felt that his feels he's still doing this, receiving. His job is being available for the receiving. I mean, what a thing he's doing, and then handing it off freely. Now I just know, I knew from the moment Glenn, you know, I got Glenn's email in my inbox with that, you know, the first part of it was that my job was to put it out there. So that's what I'm doing. Beyond that, if anything comes to any of you to do something beyond, that'd be amazing. You know, this is a completely open thing. And I think, Rick, you heard this message for us that it'll take on a life of its own.
I'm just looking at these amazing questions. I'll just pick one.
Sure.
Observe and bless all. And no, I don't. And what stops me?
Exactly.
It's fear that stops me.
Right.
Until I recognize that, and I come to my senses, and I melt, and the fear begins to disappear. I mean, I think that applies to all of these things.
Yeah.
And that's a cycle I seem to have to keep going over and over and over again.
Yeah, Phil, that's something that I'm usually alone, and so the only time that I encounter other people is either on Zoom or when I'm out walking in the world. And I find that when I'm kind of in the fog of feeling under attack, when I've kind of allowed my ego to take over, and I'm in the midst of, oh, I can't hear God, like I'm so alone, like screw all these people, why are they smiling or whatever, it's a constant practice. And I also find that a lot of times I try to make eye contact with people. I try to bless them, and it's okay if they can't receive it, or they can't receive it in the way that I think they're supposed to receive it, with a returned smile and a returned like enthusiasm for the day. Like they're not always going to return it. Sometimes people are really, they're really sheltered, they're really ducked down. And so, but I think even just having the love, sent their way, that's somehow going to, maybe later today they have a beautiful connection with their significant other because you sent them love in that moment, so. But I hear you that it's there's a lot of reasons why it's hard. There's a lot of blocks that come in our way to blessing everyone around us. But yeah, to me, of so many of these practices, that's been the major one that I've been trying to focus on, and has led me to be able to open my heart when people can return it and can receive it and send it back my way, and we can kind of share in that moment together. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My understanding, and this is very, very slowly kind of experiencing this, is the idea that the notion of being a presence, and that it's just when I am, A Course of Love talks about spaciousness and wholeheartedness, and my mind is melted into my heart, and there is little to no fear left, and you're kind of hanging out here in your high heart and in your belly, because I've noticed that in this past year, feeling the energy all the way into my body, in my belly and legs. And when you move around the world from that place, not a talking head, head on sticks, walking around, and you're down here, you don't actually have to do anything. Your presence is, you're simply overflowing, is what it is. And your light just shines. And I wonder if sometime in the next 10 years, maybe we will be able to see that light in each other. Yeah.
I was just looking at number 10. How do we combat ideology? And I'm sure that the answer to that is what you've just said, Christina. My impulse is to want to argue with ideology as being nonsense. Forget it, put it aside. But it's what you're saying that works, not intellectualizing about it and trying to argue.
Yes, yes. And it's that place of neutrality. I think A Course of Love talks about divine neutrality, dwelling in that place. And that is exactly the place from which you just overflow the love and acceptance. And that comes from first noticing how I'm responding to someone spouting ideology at me. What am I feeling inside? And that's the gift. And it's hard to stay there. I know how hard that is. You want to argue, you want to, react or respond. And I think somewhere in Journey, and I can't remember which chapter it is, it talks about negative energy and how we're being asked to stop it with us. It stops here. I'm not going to take that and then expand it some more, you know, adding to it. It can stop with me because I can neutralize it in that place of 0 point neutrality, some people call it. It's the void, the place of the dwelling in that spaciousness of the way of Mary. You just receive and neutralize it within yourself. Yeah, and if we just did that one thing, can you imagine what the world would be like?
Can I tell a quick story that feels related to this?
Please.
So a few days ago, I've been trying to heal some old relationships that experienced a lot of pain, mutual pain. And I reached out to one of these people and said, you know, I was just in prayer and you came through. And so I just wanted to send you some love. And her response to me was, it was a text, so it's hard to read tone, but it felt kind of teasing, kind of a little bit making fun of me. That was sort of like, oh, remember when I knew you and you didn't believe in God and now you're so into God, you know, and you're praying. And I had this moment where I was like really pissed off and like really wanted to like respond with anger. And then I'm so excited that this is a shift that I experienced, but I sent her a message saying like, yeah, my ego wants to be offended right now by your teasing me. But like, you're right. You're totally right. When you knew me, I wasn't into God and now I am. And like, that's a shift that's happened. And yeah, that's a very like minor example, but it was just, for me, it felt like a really major shift internally that I could, you know, recognize like, oh, this is my ego. Like, this is like some part of my personhood that feels threatened. And why don't I, instead of fighting this person, why don't I like look at it with her and like laugh alongside her and say like, yeah, isn't my ego funny? Like, isn't that funny? You know? So.
That's wonderful. And it's not a small thing. That's huge. The awareness it takes to notice that and to be honest about it, because the Course of Love is really clear about that. It's all about looking in to see what I'm feeling in that moment. But typically when we don't have that awareness and look inside, we're judging and criticizing and arguing.
Yeah.
But if we're in here, feeling our feelings, that's how we accept all things the way they are, you know, exactly as they are. And it's not, I've always thought that there's a chapter, I think it's one of the days in A Course of Love that says, accept the present. And I wish the chapter was called Accept Your Feelings in the Present. Because yes, you do end up accepting the present as it is. But if you skip that's the hard, that other step is the really hard thing. To acknowledge, to be aware enough and acknowledge the feelings and not be ashamed of them and just feel them. Even when you're with the friend saying things, even if you're feeling them, just to be able to feel them quietly or feel them and say, this is not about you, this is about me, but I'm feeling really mad right now. That would be enough. Just that kind of honesty. That's it, you know? But yeah, so it's not small things, all I wanted to say. It's not a small thing. Rick, please.
Oh, I found a couple of new chapters from volume 2 that fit in perfectly with what you're talking about, Christina, and also River. So this one is chapter 126, which came on Sunday, June 28th. And just the bottom part of it, this goes into what you were saying, River, that the person that you're blessing has to be willing to receive your gifts of love, but they will never be wasted. They will sit under the Christmas tree until it is time to unwrap them. Christmas is not just on December 25th. It's on every day of the year, every hour, every minute, every second. You are that powerful, and it doesn't cost a penny.
Beautiful.
Share from I shared this last week too. This is chapter 135 in volume 2. This came on Saturday, July 4th. And it starts, and it really talks about what we've been talking about, the thread today, about the radicalness of this material. says, so many people pray to me for help with a wide variety of life situations. I need your help with this. I need you to help me, to help those who ask and those who don't. I need you to join with me. The physical and the spiritual joined together are a mighty powerful force. I have written my books to help free you to be happy. Now, I am asking you to repay the favor. The truth was given to you, and now I simply ask that you join with me in union and in service to help heal the world one person at a time. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. I need you as much as you need me. We can't do it without each other. Together, we can sow seeds and manifest miracles. The more saints or light workers there are, the more effective I can be. Thank you for your dedication and diligence. So again, this idea to me is really radical, that Jesus needs our help, because we always have asked him or some spirit, God, to help us with everything. But the idea that he's asking us to join with him is, to me, it's a radical idea, and I've never heard that idea really expressed in any religion anyway. So I just wanted to share those two with everybody. Thank you.
Am I on? In A Course in Miracles, there's that prayer. It says, where would you have me go? What would you have me say? What would you have me do? And that kind of a thing. Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? And in a way, that was always, to me, a directive to help. You're right, it is quite a turnaround, but as you were talking about that, I was thinking, well, that's that first law. Giving and receiving are one and the same. Since we've received it, it's ours to give. And to recognize that we receive it, we need to give it. And so, but for this to come directly out and say, hey, I need your help, it's, you know, I hear that. I mean, it gets my attention. And so that's great. So I really thank you for bringing that up.
It's, yeah, you know, it's interesting. I can't do it right now, but I'm pretty sure I got that message from A Course of Love too, somewhere, that God needs us as much as we need him. And so it was lovely that it's there again, but I can't remember. Anybody remember where it is, or any of the words as such? I wish I could remember. But yeah.
I do remember that it was all, I do also remember that it was said, but I couldn't recall right now where it was. But yes, I definitely remember.
Got the search tool up here, but I'm not sure what words to put in. As maybe I'll try one more time. As much as we.
To me, the whole message of A Course of Love is that.
No, I can't find it. Sorry, Phil, what was that?
The whole message of A Course of Love, to me, is that I am God. God is me. God is us.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, of course.
Yeah, and Ashley Mari talks about how when she was receiving it over those 3 years, there was a point at which there was a break, I think. I think it might have been right before the Treatise 4 started. I think she says it was about 6 weeks, 6 to 10 weeks or something like that. There was a stop. Pretty much, Rick, like you talked about there being, you know, it's kind of stopped and then it began again. And she was concerned that, you know, it wasn't coming back or whatever. But then when it came back, the gap was for a pause, because now when Jesus came back to her, it was as her companion.
Mm-hmm.
So from then on, Jesus talks in terms of being your companion and our companion. And he doesn't know any more than we do, because we are co-creating the new together, moment by moment. And Journey is very much emphasizing it. It goes right in there with it, with that. Yeah. So it's very exciting. What a time to be alive, huh? To be able.
And to have this material. So thank you all. Thank you very much for getting it out there. I know in my classes, when I talk about the unknown, I always get real excited, you know, because I just think this is why I keep doing the reading classes of A Course of Love. I think I've been through it 6 or 7, maybe more times. But it's, again, you read it and it's like, did I even read that before? Well, I'm at a different place, so you hear it and you read it differently. But I really try to instill that sense of, well, like John said on the phone, I don't know if he can hear me or not, and he probably can't talk right now, but it's an exploration, and he's getting pretty excited about it too. He's been through the book before, and he wasn't really excited about it. He was honest about that. But the second time through, it's getting to him. He's feeling it, and that's the whole thing of it, is the feeling of it. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, so it gets very exciting. And now to have a book, Journey into the Unknown. Thank you. It's good.
It is. That's wonderful, Judy. And remember, both A Course in Miracles and A Course of Love, at the end of them say, put this book aside, forget this course, forget this book, as you know, and go out there.
Yes.
And A Course of Love, you know, you are to go out there as your true self. You have found yourself as your wholehearted self, as the elevated self of form. And A Journey into the Unknown is really reinforcing that, and with very practical help in just very simple language. I mean, I think one of the difficulties people have is expecting a spiritual text to arrive in a certain way. You know, the Bible arrived in certain language, and A Course in Miracles was seen as blasphemy, you know, and then Course in Miracles arrived, and when A Course of Love arrived, it was seen as, no, that's not the same voice by many. Not by all, but by many. And then A Journey into the Unknown arrives, and people who are in A Course of Love feel that it's not the same voice. It can't be right. It can't be the third book in the trilogy. And the truth is, everyone finds what they need. And it's none of my business whether someone else likes it or not. My job is to put it out there. No marketing, no nothing. It's just going out there. And I'm saying to people, share it as freely as you wish to share it. And if someone likes it, that's great. If someone doesn't like it, that's great too. If someone likes bits of it and not other bits of it, that's great too. God bless you. Everybody's going to receive what they need in perfect timing.
I need to go because I have a class coming soon here. So, but I wanted to thank everybody, and I'll see you next week.
Okay, well,
take care.
Thanks. And actually, it is after 6 o'clock, so maybe one last opportunity for any questions for Rick or whatever.
I just want to say something. It was hard for me to speak before because I was a bit distracted where I was, but now I'm back home. And I just want to say that I love the way that you're putting it out. I think it's just fantastic. I love how it feels very refreshing to me. The whole thing, the language, the way you're putting it out, it really feels to me so direct, and there is a kind of living practice quality to it because of that directness and the freshness of it. Like when I read, it was just today that I went and listened back to some of the first the first lessons, and when I listened to the one about which we were talking about before, about blessing everyone, it just got me so excited. I can't even, it's just all I want to do. I mean, it's just this sort of, so just even to have that kind of spark, that catalyst, you know, for me, it's just beautiful. And I'm so grateful for all the work that all of you are putting into this. I did not know that you were still receiving, Rick. I think that's amazing. And it's so exciting. I'm just so excited about it. It's just great. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you for all the people who are ready to receive it. This is not going to go anywhere if not for all of you who've done all this work in your own ways. And are ready for this and living it. And the questions I put in the chat, I mean, you can take any one of them any day and just stay with that, you know, and you're going to make a huge difference for yourself and for everyone around you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, everyone is in the perfect place at the perfect time. And hey, one step at a time. And go see Frozen 2 if you haven't seen it.
Oh, that movie's so great.
I know.
I love that movie.
Phil, have you seen it?
No, I haven't, but I certainly will.
Frozen, well, Frozen came out in 2017, and the hit song there was Let It Go, which is like a beginning to get you ready for
right.
this one, Frozen 2, that came out in 2019 in November, and Into the Unknown. And just
I mean, talk about a movie about awakening. I mean, it's just like the big, you know, number in the middle is all about, she's, you know, singing, "You are the one you've been waiting for." I was like, this is a Disney movie? I mean, it just was blowing my mind. It's just amazing.
And they use language like the bridge. They call her the bridge.
Really?
The union amongst the elements.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
It's really incredible.
And
it's funny because I had been watching, I had watched a few of John Mark Stroud's, you know, movie things. And then I just kind of felt like I didn't really need him to be doing that for me anymore. It was like actually kind of annoying to have the interruptions. And then literally ever since I stopped, every movie that I see, like that's how, and that was one of the first ones I saw. And I just thought, this is so obvious. You know, I mean, it's just so beautiful how it's amazing levels. That kids are receiving that today.
Because
you know, there's so much.
Yeah, they're coming plug ready, you know.
They're ready.
Yeah, they're ready. They know.
Yeah.
They know.
They really do.
I mean, that phrase, star children, these are star children. They know.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming in all their different myriad forms for the new. They're ready for the new, and they just need the guidance to not lose it as they grow up, lose that as they grow up. So, yeah. Well, I think I'm going to close here. Do we have, when you registered, we have your emails, right? Is that right? So I guess I haven't seen the registrations, but we must have your email addresses somehow.
Because you sent out a thing with the list of all the dates. So yeah, but via email.
Zoom did that. Yeah. So.
Zoom. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming that Joe has all your email addresses, but I want to figure out how to save the chats also, maybe.
You can save the chats if you go into Zoom. It's part of what gets downloaded. It will download the video, and it'll download. It allows you to have 3 files that it creates. It creates a video, an audio only version, and the text from the chat.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So at least I have that if anybody needs it. Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Christina.
So much fun.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful to meet you.
Thanks.
What privilege this is. Oh.
Everybody.
Do that. Bye. Love you all.
Bye. Bye.
Love you.
Bye. Lovely to see you all.
Mm.